Good morning, Mr. Hughes.
Good morning. Good morning.
Mr. Derrick Hughes.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hughes, do you feel comfortable taking your mask off? Because we need to see you and we need to hear you pretty well, okay?
Yes, sir. That's fine.
Would you give us your full name and your DOC number?
Derrick Hughes, 614596.
Mr. Hughes, you're here today for a probation revocation hearing. I want to talk to you a little bit about our process. First, I'm going to read to you your parole revocation questionnaire. Do you have that before you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll talk to you about that in just a few moments. And then afterwards, I will read the violations that you were alleged, the ways in which you were alleged to have violated your parole. Then we'll have an interview with you, and then those persons who wish to speak will be able to speak. You do have several people here today speaking on your behalf. Your sister, Miss Tiara Hughes, is here. Your girlfriend, Miss Demai Hicks, is here. Your attorney, Mr. James Rothkamp, is here. Mr. Rothkamp, if you would please make an appearance for the record.
Yes, sir. Good morning. James Rothkamp. We have to Derrick Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Rothkamp. Good seeing you this morning.
You too, Jay.
Mr. Hughes, once we go over the allegations with you, I'm going to ask you to plead either guilty, not guilty, guilty with the statement, or not guilty with the statement. And if you need to consult with Mr. Rothkamp before you enter your pleas, you certainly can do that. Okay. Let's go over that questionnaire, if you would. You have that before you?
Yes, sir.
Is that your signature at the bottom of the page dated May the 15th of 2023?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you signed this document back in May, were all those answers accurate and correct?
Yes, sir.
Are they still accurate and correct today?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Rothkamp is representing you today at this hearing? You
Yes,
ready to
sir.
proceed?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to read you the allegations. It is alleged rule violation number 5 on November the 12th of 2022. You were arrested for felon in possession of a firearm. You failed to not engage in criminal activity. On February the 3rd of 2023, under DC 2300670, you were billed for possession of a Schedule II drugs, Adderall, illegal carrying of a weapon with a controlled dangerous substance, and possession of a firearm by convicted felon under DC 2300671. You were billed with possession of marijuana. On May 5th of 2023, the charges were dismissed. I find it difficult for people to enter pleas to the way these charges are actually written up. So I'm going to kind of break it up. The charges were dismissed against you, but you were in fact arrested on November the 12th of 2022. Is that correct?
November 24th, 2022.
November 24th of 2022. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you plead to the charges that you possessed all of those drugs and the
I'll plead not guilty.
okay. And finally, number 10, you are currently in arrears of the amount of $2,302 on your supervision fees. How do you plead to those charges?
I'm guilty for that.
Okay. Your case was assigned to me, Mr. Hughes, so I will begin our interview process. How long have you been in jail on these charges?
Like 2.5 months.
Okay. Now, when you got arrested in November, how long did you stay in jail then?
I got out the same day, and they issued a warrant.
So you bonded out the same day?
I bonded out the same day. And
Okay, now I noticed on your record, and I'm a little confused by this. I noticed on your record that on March the 22nd of 2023, there's an escape or an abscond on your record. Is that the day the warrant was issued for you?
That's the day the warrant. I had previously went to court that same month, and I didn't have a warrant. So they issued a warrant like 5 or 6 months after the November date. And I went to my girlfriend who's present right now, I was going to her graduation in Fort Polk, and I got arrested then for the warrant. So
Okay.
Yeah.
And it also shows that looks like that was on May the 3rd of 2023. So you've been in jail since May the 3rd of 2023. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about what happened on November the 23rd, 2022, that caused you to be arrested for the drug charges and the gun charge, okay?
Yes,
So
sir.
tell me what you were doing.
I just had left the barbershop. I had my kids with me, and
So those were your children?
yeah, my kids.
They were what, is it 12 and 5? Is that
12 and 4.
Okay, go ahead. Tell me what happened.
I was leaving the barbershop. A cop got behind me for he said it's a traffic ticket. He said no seatbelt. But I guess when he
Let me
ran
ask you, who owned the car? Whose car was it?
the car was for my mother-in-law.
And how long had you had that car? How long had you been driving that car?
I had just drove the car for that day. I was just driving it for that day just to go to the barbershop.
Okay, when did you get the car before you were stopped? How long?
Like probably 15 minutes before. Like
You hadn't been in that car all day or the day before?
I haven't been in that car all day. I had just got in the car.
All right, go ahead.
So,
Continue what happened then.
So I left the barbershop like probably 10 minutes later after I left the barbershop. The Brave team pulled me over and he pulled me over for a traffic stop, but he didn't give me no traffic ticket. And he just started searching my car, searching my mother-in-law car, started searching it. And I guess he found what he found and he locked me up for that. But I knew I was gonna beat it because it wasn't mine. Like it wasn't nothing for me. And I've been staying out of trouble for a long time. I've been on parole for like 6 years almost.
Okay, let's talk about that just for a second. How long have you been out on parole?
5.5 years. This is the first incident.
Okay. And were you working at the time?
Yes, sir. I work Exxon.
Okay, and what do you do at Exxon?
Baller maker.
Okay, and how long have you been a baller maker?
Like 4 months.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you were a baller maker in November when you got arrested, or what were you doing when you got arrested?
Yeah, I was a baller maker then.
Okay, well, that's been longer than 4 months ago.
Well,
You mean
I
4
actually
months you got
I
arrested?
actually was an electrician. I was an electrician. Like at the time of the arrest, I was an electrician, but I was still working for my same company. I just switched crafts.
I got you.
Yeah.
Have you had any violations other than this violation here since
No,
you've been on?
My first violation in almost 6 years.
Well, let me ask you something, Mr. Hughes. This is my concern. Okay, I understand the DA dropped the charges. I understand that someone said those Adderall pills they had a prescription for. But the police officer says he smelled marijuana and he saw a marijuana cigarette in the ashtray. So
It was that was inaccurate, Your Honor. He put, if you look at the amount, it's 0.1. 0.1 is like, it's really, he had to put 0.1 on it because it was so small. It was like something says you can't even see it. So
my question is, why was there any amount of marijuana cigarette in that car?
I'm not even sure that it was marijuana. It was too small. Like I didn't even see it. It was impossible to be smoking that. So he lied about that. First off, because he could never smell that much of marijuana that wasn't being smoked at the time. I had my kids. I wasn't smoking, and I don't know why he used that for probable cause to search.
All right. Well, let me ask you this: from the time you got out, you bonded out the next day.
Mm-hmm.
You were working then?
Yes, sir.
You were working then when you went to your well, I'm sorry.
I went to court.
Somebody's graduation. What was that?
I was working. I was working there. It was on May 3rd. My girlfriend was getting a master's degree from Upper Iowa University. I went there also. She was getting her
Okay. You were working then?
Yeah, I was working there. I took off to go to her graduation. I work every day. I just work and go home to my family. I have 4 kids. I stay out of trouble. I don't hang with nobody.
Let me ask you this, who had the prescription for the marijuana,
For the marijuana,
right? I mean, the DA dropped the charges because somebody had a prescription for marijuana.
prescription for the Adderall.
I understand that, and I accept
The
that.
marijuana was a
The bill of
misdemeanor. It was,
information-
I guess the marijuana wasn't, it wasn't nothing. Like, it really, literally wasn't nothing. Like,
So
literally.
you don't know if anyone gave someone a prescription for the marijuana.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that.
Any questions? What have you been doing while you've been in prison for the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months? Are you able to take any kind of classes, do anything there?
There's nothing I could do. I'm under the worst conditions possible. Like, it's nothing I could do, literally.
Let me ask you this. Do you still have a job if you get out?
Yeah, they've been waiting on me. They was waiting on me since then. Like, and that they've been waiting on me. They love me at my job.
Now you live with your 2 children and your
My
girlfriend?
girlfriend. Yes, sir.
Do you have other children?
Yeah, I have 2 kids, 2 more kids.
And how old are they?
One 13 and 4.
Do you support those children?
Yes, sir.
You give them child support?
I don't give them child support. I just take care of them.
All right. They don't live with you though.
They don't live with me, but I get them almost every weekend.
All right. Thank you. Now we'll hear from your supporters. Let's hear from your sister, Miss Tiara Hughes.
Hi,
Hi, Ms. Hughes, how are you? Why don't you
I'm
introduce
okay.
yourself and tell us what you'd like us to know?
He has been working. He also helps his nieces and nephews. He brings my son to the barbershop also. He doesn't really do anything wrong. He goes to church. He tries to do right. We pray for him. He's very family oriented. He's a member of his community. I mean, like, we need him. And he hasn't been getting in trouble or anything, and we're sorry for what happened, but we try to keep him on the right path to stay out of trouble.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hughes. We appreciate your comments. Ms. Hicks? Ms. Hicks, can you hear me? You're on mute. If you could.
I had to unmute it. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Why don't you
Good morning.
introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like us to know?
My name is Demawi Hicks, and I just want to let you know that Derrick has made a tremendous change after being released in 2017. He has worked multiple jobs on being released. Whatever jobs he can take with the background he had, it was hard. So I was supporting us doing the way, but he worked when he can work. Recently, he obtained a permanent job with Exxon. He took classes there where he switched from electrician to a boilermaker. He was due for another class. His job is currently still waiting on him. If he's out this month, I just spoke with someone at his job on last week. He still has his job right now to return to once he comes home. He's a family man. I mean, he goes to every school event, sports. We have a 16-year-old son, and he was on the news Monday, and not for a crime. A lot of kids at that age aren't on the news for positive things. We have a 13-year-old son. He's the vice president of his school beta club, and we have 2 daughters. They're not mine, they're his, but they're here every week, spending days. I mean, Derrick supports me and the kids. He's behind in his parole fees because we brought a house. I mean, we had a lot of catching up to do. I raised the kids by myself all the way until he was released. So now he's able to help me financially and be there for his kids. He's a great role model. I've raised the kids thus far to 2017, but they do need their dad. And it's affecting them that he's gone right now. He's teaching them things that I can't teach them. They're not in trouble. They're not introduced to their outside life, drugs and crime. My kids don't even have a discipline record at school. Derrick is a great father, and he's surrounded by love. I just graduated with my master's. I work for the state. He's motivated to stay focused and on the right track. He goes to school. He has 1 more semester and he'll have his HVAC degree at Fortis. He attended Upper Hour for business management. He's not a troubled person. Someone used the car and he used the car and he didn't know. A lesson learned. You have to check your surroundings, the vehicles you get in, because you never know what someone else have. And I think we're all learning that now and paying for this mistake.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We appreciate your comments. Mr.
You're
Hughes, is there anything you'd like to say before we turn it over to Mr. Rockham?
I just want to say, I'm sorry that this happened, but I promise to, finish the rest of my parole time without any violations or anything. I never had any problems on parole. I had 4 different parole officers. All of them gonna say I had an outstanding record. I never failed a drug test. I don't do drugs. I show up every time. Like I just was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But I apologize for that, and all I can do is change.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Appreciate your comments. Mr. Rockham, you want to bring us in?
Thank you, Judge. Very quickly, Judge, we understand the emphasis of the parole board as well as the district attorney's office in regard to situations regarding guns, domestic violence type issues. And we do appreciate everything that those entities are trying to do to curb that. This is a situation, Judge, where Mr. Hughes has no violations prior to this incident. He's been out for 5.5, almost 6 months. He's been doing everything the parole officer has been asking him to do. And we recognize he's already admitted the arrearages, and not notwithstanding, it seems like he's on the right track, Judge. He's working, he's supporting his family, supporting his kids. He's doing what he needs to do to become a productive member of society. Granted, he needs to be more conscious of the situations he gets himself into, and he needs to be more aware of his environment, specifically if he borrows somebody else's car, if he borrows anybody's backpack, if he borrows anything from anybody, if he goes into someone's house. You never know what's going to be in those places, and that's something that he needs to learn, that he has to be aware of. But I think that, this short period of incarceration has shown him that it's a problem, and it's something that he needs to learn from. And I think he has learned that. My associate, Mr. Collier, spoke to him at the prison, and he was very sincere in speaking to Mr. Collier about the situation. And, it appears that he just got in the wrong car at the wrong time. Ms. Hicks, I know we had submitted some documents, including Ms. Hicks' letter of recommendation, which I felt was very well written and very much puts out what Mr. Hughes has been doing for himself as well as for his family. And we just asked the panel to take that into consideration, allow him to finish his term of parole and go home and become a better person. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rockham. We appreciate your comments. Mr. Hughes, I've looked at your file, and of course, we hear a lot that the policeman lied and that sort of thing. And of course, I've been around long enough to know that happens. It may be to get the search, they may want to do that. I'm not exactly sure what happened in there. I suspect you might have known a little more than what you really leading on to know. Maybe you got in the car too quick and you had to run. I'm not sure about all of that. But your history bears out that you're doing the right thing. You're working on it. You got a job, you're supporting your family. So to me, that adds to your credibility. So I'm going to go ahead and accept exactly what you said happened today. But as Mr. Rockham pointed out, you're on parole. You got a cloud over your head. You got to be aware of your surroundings. You can't be in the wrong place at the wrong time, because if you are, even if you're innocent, you see what happens. You end up spending 2 months in jail or so. Okay. My vote today is not to revoke and to return you on supervision so you can go back, support your family, and continue to work. But be careful out there.
Yes, sir.
One vote. Ms. Jackson?
My vote's the same.
Ms. Wise?
Mr. Hughes, I'll tell you, I've been on this board all week. We done a lot of revocations. One good thing about you, you wasn't cheating on your girlfriend. I'm just glad that, oh my goodness, you would not, you just don't know. So my vote is do not revoke, continue on supervision and keep the head up. Stay encouraged and
ma'am.
keep the head up.
Thank you,
All right.
thank you,
Good luck, Mr. Hughes. You got 3
Thank
votes to grant your parole. You'll be released.
thank you, thank y'all.
All right,
Thank y'all very much.
you're welcome.